Off my audio mute. Test, test, test. Bodine. Bodine here. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you okay? I'm not hearing you just yet. 1, 2, 3. I'm using original sound here. Okay, slow. You're pointing up. Pointing up. Hello, 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 hello. I tested all my audio, and I was okay on.
Can you hear us now?
Oh yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh wait a minute,
All right,
I just lost.
Do you hear
Yes,
us
I
now?
can. Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Are
You
you
can hear
guys?
Eric and me, right?
I can hear you both.
Okay. All right.
You're
Okay.
coming in 5 by 5 over here.
5 by 5. All right.
All right. It's an old
Okay,
military
2 minutes.
term.
We need 2 minutes.
You need.
Oh, I thought that was like
yeah,
sprints or
Eric,
circuit training. Can you, Abby? Can you give me my water, please? Did you get a workout in today, Bodine?
I did not get a workout in, but I got 2 beautiful meditations in.
Oh,
And,
that could be even better.
It's a little
Wait,
hot
wait.
today. We're going to probably wait till the sun just goes down behind the mountains over here before we venture out into the 115-degree temperature.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we got to save some of the small talk for the podcast. Hang on. Can you put something?
Oh, this is so great. Oh, you guys look great. It's a
Oh,
pleasure.
Abby.
It's an honor.
Abby, can you? Of course, we're professional, right? I mean, we look professional, right?
Well,
Here.
we'll do till real professionals come along.
We're
Something like that.
professionals in the making.
We are the
Every
professionals
day.
coming along.
Oh, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes,
Yeah, it sure is.
Yes,
No,
it
it's
is.
beautiful here. It's like 70 here.
Oh, you guys.
70 and sunny.
But
Are
Eric,
we
do
like
we need lights on?
Are you in Palm Springs? Where are you?
we are in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, you're in Cleveland. Oh, okay.
Cleveland, yeah.
I got a reference for Palm Springs somewhere. I don't know. Maybe that's just your vacation spot.
Palm Springs.
No, that's where we
is-
met, Bodine.
Oh, I see.
There
I
it
see.
is.
All
There
right.
it is.
At the speaker craft.
Okay, are we recording?
I think we're recording. Does it say recording on the top
yeah,
left?
I think it does.
Okay.
All right.
So,
All right.
So the 10th podcast, and Eric, as we always
Hold
talk
on.
about, they get better and better every time, right?
are you starting?
Yeah, we're starting.
No, we're not starting yet. Hold
Why?
on. I just want to make sure we're starting. Hold on.
Okay.
I guess we're not starting.
All right. All right. Well, I feel good about the whole thing. I'm good to go. I've got my
course.
trusty sidekick over here, my little cat.
There we go.
You can't see her. She's
Now we
just
can
off to the
see
left.
nice and clear.
Whenever I'm here, she has to occupy her spot to keep me company.
Nice.
Okay, so we're gonna start in a few seconds. Everything good? One more time. I want to see what I kind of look like.
You can hear me with your thing on?
I can. Oh
Yeah, because you got
no, I heard you through here. No.
heard me?
Oh, I just
No.
hear you. Got it.
There you go.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
There we go. Now you can hear me better,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, but can I just do this?
Okay.
Or will it look not good?
It has nothing to do. I'm the one who's got one off because we can't hear each other through the.
I know, but then your ears
headphones.
are flapping like Dumbo.
Hey, it is what it is. Here, can I hear you? Go ahead, talk.
Hello. Yes.
This is when you get a real insight into the relationship.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Is this the 10th podcast?
As long as you look like Dumbo and don't sound like him, then we're good.
It is what it is.
Oh man.
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right. I want to just
Couple
take a
deep breaths.
breath.
All right, let's do this. Everyone take a couple deep breaths.
All right.
We will all do amazing. Vision creates reality. Take the one and only. Okay. We're ready to go. All cameras on, all audio on. Doors are closed. Window, do you want to close that in case the lawnmower starts or something? Or
If it does, we'll close it. It's good. We need a little bit of air.
It's
okay,
a great
fine.
setup. It's a great
Fine.
setup.
Okay, great. All right. So Jeremy, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I want to kick it off because this is the 10th podcast. And Eric, I think they just do get better and better every time.
Every time.
And we always
And
say
that's why
this is the most important one. And it is the most important one because it's the one we're doing now.
it's the one we're doing right now. No, but it's a topic that encompasses all topics, and that's what's key. And we're so fortunate to have a guru in the field of vision creating reality, Bodine, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a second as soon as we're done with the standard welcoming small talk.
Oh, yeah, the small talk. That's perhaps even the best part because, Bodine, you came on and I asked you, did you work out?
Yes, you did ask me if I worked out, and it was a really nice early day for me. I did not make my workout. It's a little hot just now. It's approaching, 110, 112, but I did get 2 really wonderful meditations in, which is really good. And my workout will happen just as the sun goes into behind the mountains and cuts down on that radiation just a little bit. But I love the question.
Bodine,
Beautiful.
can I put you on the spot? Did you envision this podcast going tremendously as well as we think it's going to go in your meditation?
Yes, I did. I had a very, very powerful visualized image of us have a wonderful time and providing an outreach of service to the people who are within the range of the sound of our voices right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So why we feel this topic is so important, and it encompasses all topics, because you need a vision to make a decision, right? At the end of the day, Zero Doubt Club wants to help clients create a vision of having less doubt, right? Of gaining confidence, of losing weight or gaining weight, whatever it may be. Most want to lose weight and be more fit and be healthier and be confident and be happier. And that's a vision. That's a
Right.
vision that they need to create initially. And then we're part of the plan.
We're part of the plan, and Bodine's going to help explain why vision is so important to create this.
More than just an explanation,
Right?
Like the science behind
the science,
it, because
yes.
this man, we're so fortunate, and he's going to give us his history in a second.
Right?
Has spent decades.
Oh my God, it's so true.
Researching this topic. And bottom line, this is not a, hey, we recommend this and we think it'll work. This is a science.
Proven. This is proven by thousands and thousands and
thousands and
of people.
thousands. And Bodine is going to get into
Yeah.
the science in a minute. But Bodine, would love to learn more about you as a human being, and you as who you are, where you're from, how you got into speaking, and how you have become a guru on this topic. So if you can give us a brief history on.
Well, I just do this. I don't want to take too much of our time that's going to be devoted to the real content, but I would say that, I would say at the age of 15, my father gave me a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I mean, raise your hand if you're familiar with this book and have absorbed much of the great content, right?
Of course.
And that just that activated me in a way. Prior to that, I was kind of a teenage layabout, and that activated me like crazy. And at the same time, the Olympic Games were broadcast on television from Tokyo, Japan. And I saw Peter Snell win the 800 and 1500 meter runs in the same Olympics. And I was so inspired by that. I went into my little room that night, 15 years old, sat on my bed, said, I am going to become an Olympic champion as a distance runner. And, prior to that, I never even liked to walk to school in the mornings. But all of a sudden, I had this vision. of being an Olympic champion as a distance runner. I ran 6 miles the next day.
Wow.
And after my shin splints, dissipated, I kept running 6 miles every day. And that was because of what? I had this compelling vision in my mind of something I really wanted to create. And that is the first part of our model. It is desired outcome. It turns into a vision through the process I think we're going to explain now and in our future podcasts. But from
Yes.
that point, I went on to win the state cross country championship in running, and I got a scholarship to UCLA. I was team captain and
Wow.
stadium record holder there.
Oh
And
my
when I
goodness.
graduated there, I was training for the Olympics with one of the great coaches of the modern era, Laszlo Tabori. And then I injured my Achilles tendon, and I couldn't run another step. I could walk, no problem there, but I just couldn't run anymore. And I was waiting tables to support my running habit. I was running close to 20 miles a day training for the Olympics, and now I can't run. And I was waiting tables, and a guy came in on his night off and said, and he was waiting for his table, and he started doing magic tricks. He would vanish coins and cigarettes right before your eyes, and they comped his meals, they comped his drinks, and he had a crowd of people around him all night long. I went in and I quit my job that night, and I got 11 books from the library on sleight of hand magic, taught myself sleight of hand magic, traveled all over North America as a magician performing sleight of hand magic. Then I went and did a presentation for ADT, the security company, at their big, North American sales conference. And the president of the regional manager of ADT said, "Can you come do some entertainment and tell us some stories about customer service?" I said, "I don't have any stories about customer service." He said, "You got 6 weeks till the event," meaning go get some stories about customer service. I did that, got a standing ovation, and then I decided I'm going to become an entertaining keynote speaker. I changed my entire mental model of what I wanted to do and what I was pursuing. I shifted my vision. And the moment I shifted my vision, my entire focus shifted with it and began making progress in a new direction. Vision does create reality. And I went on a wisdom hunt. It's taking too long. I'm almost done.
No.
This story.
This is amazing. This is
Okay, so
this is
I
not a
Taking
when
too
I
long
just
for
I
who?
decided I decided to
God
be
all day.
this guy, the guy who was the regional manager for ADT, who asked me to come do my nightclub entertainment act and throw in some stories about customer service, was the one that shifted me. And that was such a success, I decided I was going to go from being an entertainer who told some really good business stories to being a business speaker who was kind of entertaining.
Right.
Shifted my model. I shifted my identification of myself. And when we do that, amazing things begin to happen. And I had this impulse to go on a wisdom hunt so I would have something to say. And that started a 25-year research effort on my part. And about 10 years into that effort, I discovered what I thought might be, and what I now am convinced is, the center of the bullseye for how humans most effectively create results for themselves that don't currently exist.
Right.
So, and that's where we are today.
So
And-
centered of the bullseye. I
The
just want to
center of
repeat
the
that.
bullseye is the center of the bullseye is the vision or the inspiration to get the vision, or both?
Well, I think the center of the bullseye is basically the four-part structure that we're identifying for people. And that is what I think has been called by many the structure of the generative creative process. The word generative means we're not going to use this process to be more creative with what we're doing. It's to bring into being results for ourselves that don't currently exist.
Right.
And that's a four-part structure. And it starts, as you know, with desired outcome.
Yep.
And then we need to get really clear on our current circumstances. That creates this discrepancy between where we are and where we want to go. And your
Yes.
system responds to this discrepancy with a form of energy called creative tension that then begins to imbue your thinking to stimulate creative thought and action plans, and then also generates the energy to fuel your actions and implement follow through
To get the
based on the
desired
structure of the thing.
to
So I
yeah,
guess
to
the
get the
answer,
desired outcome.
I think it starts with desired outcome and then a clear understanding of where you are right now relative to that outcome.
Right, right. And thus the encompassing topic today, which is vision creates the reality.
Yes,
And
it
how
does. It
and how
does.
do you
It does
hit that
indeed.
bullseye?
Yeah.
So, and we're going to get into the details of that. So that's a great quick high level, and we're going to get into the details of it. Bodine, thank you very much for sharing that with our audience. So 25 years you've been motivational speaking, you've been researching this amazing topic. I mean, you're not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of
Oh yes.
information out there.
Oh yes.
The movie The Secret made it really popular of
Yes.
vision creates reality.
Yes.
Psychologists talk about it all the time.
Yes.
We at Zero Doubt Club have been talking about, not only do visions create reality, but positive visions create positive realities.
Yes.
And negative talk and negative visions create the negative realities. So how do you switch your thinking? Right. So we talk about that with our clients all the time. And that's why this is so important is to create these positive visions. And then
I think you're touching on something really important right there. If I can just interject for
yes,
a
please.
bit, I think you're touching on something really important. And that is that if you're seeking, as you and Jeremy are, which is so inspiring, it's an honor to be on board. But if you're seeking to influence people in a positive way, what we find is if they're already in a positive frame of mind, influencing them to be positive or more positive is easy. If people have gotten themselves into a place where they're unhappy with their life results for one reason or another, and they've begun this track of negative thought, then it's really challenging. It's much more challenging to get them back onto the train or the channel of thinking positively and rebuilding their consciousness and their lives from the inside out. The nice thing about the creative process, the vision creates reality process, is that it basically serves to empower you to begin with. And a sense of empowerment is a really powerful influence and energy for pulling you out of a habit of negative thought over to the Zero Doubt Club, approach
right.
to life. So
right.
That's one of the things I think is really important, and why you have possibly chosen to make this available to the people who are listening, who are members of the Zero Doubt Club. This can take you from where you are, no matter what kind of train of thought you're in. This will move you in the positive direction in an organic way.
In an organic way, and it can happen fast.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Bodine, tell us a story or two in your decades of helping and inspiring people. Give us a quick story or two of amazing transformations that you've
this
witnessed.
is such a wonderful insight on it. This is such a wonderful invitation on your part. I'll try to keep it down to a portion that we can easily digest.
Yeah.
There are so many, because when I came upon this basic structure, things began to happen in my own life. The first time I really understood the 4-part structure of this process, I doubled my business revenue that year, and I didn't change anything else, right? So that was really powerful. Then I began incorporating it into my keynote speeches, mostly as a motivational module, because there's a new style of what we call commitment, which we'll get into probably in our next podcast. There's a new way of understanding what commitment is and what commitment does that really drives a great deal of positive thought and energy, right? But so what happened to me, but I was just focusing on the model as a inspirational understanding of the power of commitment, which was really nice for 45-minute keynote speeches.
Right.
But what happened was a guy who was a CEO of a big insurance company in the Caribbean islands in Ajico invited me to come and do a 90-minute sales motivation talk to his 40 insurance sales professionals on the island of St. Martin. And it was going to be 90 minutes. It was going to be motivational. It was going to be 40 people. We negotiated 6 months ahead of time and we settled. And then, of course, I moved on. And 5.5 months later, 2 weeks before the scheduled date of my motivational presentation, 90 minutes to 40 sales professionals, he decided, without telling me, to go to the local newspaper on the island and put out an ad and sell tickets to my presentation. The editor at the paper said, well, if you could make it a little bit bigger than a 90-minute motivational presentation, I'll run a half-page spread on Bodine and his history above the fold of the front page. If you'll take out an ad and let's have him do a 4-hour self-development workshop. They settled on this before they called to tell me. And then he called me and said, I have a surprise for you. And it went from, a nice little 90-minute motivational thing for 40 people to a 4-hour life development workshop for something close to 300 people.
Wow.
And I had never done that with this material. So, I spent the next 2 weeks burning the midnight oil and showed up.
Sure.
And we went 4.5 hours with nearly 300 people. 2 days later, the manager of the resort who arranged the room, who got a ticket for free, called me on my cell phone. My wife and I were enjoying the beach because I renegotiated my deal, as you can imagine.
As you should.
And he said, you got to come into my office. I got something to tell you. And we went in and he spent about 40 minutes telling us how the process he went through in the workshop saved his marriage. Wow. And his wife had moved out. He was depressed. She was filing for divorce. And he worked out a strategy in the workshop using the creative tension energy. And he managed to get her to spend an evening with him over dinner and wine. They stayed up all night talking. The next day, she got her belongings, moved back into their apartment, and they've determined to actually repair their relationship. And he was telling us with tears in his eyes how joyful they both now feel at this second chance to renew and restore their loving marriage relationship. I was verklempt at this. I just couldn't believe it. So we went out on the beach, and then we're walking down the street in St. Martin, the beautiful, beachside street, glorious tourist shops, wonderful day. And we hear these two youngsters across the street. They were probably 25 years old, the two of them yelling, "Hey, Bodine, hey!" And they scamper across the street with this puppy energy to reveal that they are newlyweds on vacation in St. Martin. They were there for a week, saw the ad, bought 2 tickets to my workshop on their honeymoon, and came to tell me how excited they are that they now have a method for generating the results they want in their new life together. I was overwhelmed. Following this, virtually every salesman from the original group of 40 sent me emails telling me, a couple months later, that all of their revenue figures are up. They have a new desire to improve their skills. One of the things that happens when you use this process is you develop a thirst for learning. There's 2 types of learning. There's the thing of, oh my Lord, I've got to read that book. That's the one we're used to. When you generate this model of vision creates reality, you stimulate a thirst for learning that is like, oh, I can't wait to take time this evening to read that book. It shifts your consciousness because there's things you can learn to actually create the result that you want. And this taps into your desire to embrace that and move forward with that. Those are a few stories.
Sure. And those are miracles. I mean,
Miracles.
those
And that
are
must have been some really good wine.
um but what I'm getting from this uh gold that you're sharing, Bodine, is that vision creates reality, not just business and not just personal, but all facets, right? It's I want to become healthier. I want to not have arthritis anymore. I want to
Yes.
establish new habits. I want to rekindle my relationship with my wife.
That's one of the best ones. One of the best ones. One of the best visions is to revitalize my current relationship with the people that I love the most.
That's
That's a
amazing.
specific outcome.
That's
That
great.
this will give you energy and ideas and for implementing that.
Yeah. How many people out there you think want that?
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm
So
in a pretty good place, but there's always
Wait,
more.
how many? You're like 40 years married, right?
40 years married last April,
Nice.
as a matter of fact.
wow.
And I'm still madly in love.
There you go, because you got the right vision.
Yeah. Well, I can go into that a lot because you hit on it there, Eric. And that is that the best way to say this is that this method, which we're sharing with people as part of the Zero Doubt Club approach to life development, it's a container that you put your outcome into. And then it invites you to create clarity, energy, visualized imagery of your success. And then it drives inside the container. After you get to put whatever your outcome is into it, it drives the energy for stimulating creative thought and creative action. So it's a container that you get to put whatever you want to
what
create
else is
inside.
there? What else is there to talk about? I mean,
I mean, this is it.
I
This
mean
is the
that's
magic. This is the
Well,
secret.
and then
Center of the
there are many
bullseye.
things. For example, I had the pleasure of going on the feed and looking at your wonderful posts from the Zero Doubt Club, and there are many strategies, right,
yep.
that you've devised for people to really move forward in the 5 areas of your life that you've identified as critical. And I love that definition to help me with my thinking. That's already helped me.
Right.
There are many things we need to do under each one of those 5 areas that you've identified and are making available to our consciousness,
Yep.
awareness, but you need leverage for all of that. And this is a
Right.
method that provides you with the leverage to implement the strategies that you are making available to people.
Exactly right. So right. So they're what we call the pillars,
Yes.
and then the pillars, which again is the foundation of our life in every facet, um,
Yes.
etc. And we have an amazing. So if anyone that's listening to this podcast, we have a great podcast. I think it's 40 minutes long, plus minus, on the pillars, and then how do you tie this podcast with each foundation or pillar of your
Right.
life?
Well,
So,
by the time we're done with this podcast and the others that we're going to apparently uh, utilize so that people get the complete understanding of this method and how to use it. They'll
yes,
be able to use it to energize all of the strategies that you're making available to them.
right, right. So you just touched on it. So this is a 4-part series. That's why the title is part 1 of 4. We've thought this through on how do we do a high level, quick to the point podcast to introduce the topic to many. Some already know about it, but about vision creates reality. Then you have a proprietary 9-step process.
Yes.
Um, and a 4-step process. And then the last one's going to be a surprise. We're not even going to talk about it right now, but it involves helping people on a day-to-day basis using technology to make sure that they follow through.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We're going to let the cat out of the bag at the end there, aren't we?
A little
Oh
bit.
my
Yes,
God.
we
That's a
are.
good
Who's
cat.
excited?
Everyone's excited. But Bodine, I have one more amazing story for you that transpired because of your commitment to this topic and so on, that I'd like to share, that I know.
Oh, Let's hear it.
So the story is that 16 years ago, and
Oh my.
I cannot wait to email it to the guy that set our meeting up. But you and I met 16 years ago when you did a conference, when you were the motivational speaker and entertainer, etc., at what was called the Gig. So it was the Global Intellectual Gathering
I
for
remember it like it was yesterday.
for the top audio, video, home automation, uh, speaker craft dealers in the country. So a lot of amazing individuals, a lot of great entrepreneurs, and
About
yeah,
300 people.
yeah, it was a lot of people. It was in
Yeah.
Palm Springs,
Yeah.
super hot, I remember. But
2 days, a lot of guest speakers. Dan Millman was there. Rollins was there. A lot of really
Rollins,
good
yeah,
speakers.
Rollins. We actually just watched Rollins again. He's doing or before, this is pre-COVID, so about a year ago. But we saw Rollins again, and he was so inspirational and
He
whatever
was
else.
amazing. And well, I say this only because, and Dan Millman is one of my favorite authors in the category of life development. So, and
Yes.
I was the closing keynote speaker on the second day. So, I mean, I was really following not only great speakers, but one of my heroes, as a matter of fact. So it was a really interesting event.
So why don't we give a shout out to Jeremy Burkhardt
All
from
right.
who's sold
Organize that
Speakercraft,
thing.
and now he has another speaker company. I cannot wait to send him the link to this podcast and to get some feedback from him on this podcast. But the fact that he absolutely initiated this, inspired it. I held on to your information for 16 years.
My
Uh,
handout.
and your handout, your
Yeah.
handout.
And here you are
I
now.
was part of Entrepreneurs Organization for 10 years. I've been a serial entrepreneur plus minus. Throughout all this time, I've seen a lot of speakers. I don't hold on to a lot of handouts, Bodine, and I held
Oh,
on.
I'm going to be verklempt now.
I
Oh,
held
this
on
is
to
so
this.
wonderful to hear.
And the initial thought, because Jeremy's so into positive thoughts and positive visions, which we're going to talk to Jeremy in a second and hear his inspiration and motivation. But and then I always, look through the packet of the valuables of handouts that I've gotten over the years, and I'm like, oh my god. And maybe instead of us talking about it, let's get the guru to talk about it. So I reached out to you, and here we are. So
Oh yeah, yeah, and that was such a pleasure. And I'm a guy that I've done over the last 25 years a little more than 1,000 presentations. I remember
Wow.
every one of them like they were yesterday because
Nice.
it's such a heightened moment, in my
Sure.
life. Each time you go to the platform, and to hear from you was such a joy, and then to discover what you've put together to help people.
Right.
The service heart that you both have is really inspiring to me.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
happy to
Thank you.
participate in any way that will be of service to you and to the people that you are seeking to serve.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you, Bodine. We really appreciate it. And talk about inspiration. So the inspiration behind Zero Doubt Club and positive thinking and creating visions and meditation and so on is my business partner, that Jeremy Torchinsky. So Jeremy, let's ask you a few questions before Bodine uh, talks in specifics about
Let's
vision
do
creates
it.
reality. But
Yeah,
talk to
let's
us
hear it.
about talk to us about Zero Doubt Club and
How it
how
transpired.
how it transpired, your initial vision, because that's what it was, and how you integrate it every day, and how here we are sitting, about to open up a gym, creating amazing content, helping people, training people, coaching people, etc., all from your initial vision. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, why vision creates reality is real is because I'm a testament to it. I went through it even before even meeting Bodine or anyone else.
Right.
What if you don't have a desired outcome? What if you're just sitting around at home and you have no idea what your desired outcome was? That was me. I was playing poker professionally for 15 years,
Wow.
having fun doing it, making decent money, but was not happy and had no desired outcome of my life. And because of not having a desired outcome, I was unhappy more days than I was happy. So what do you tell to someone like that? And I didn't know the answers. One day I decided I was going to order a sauna, and I ordered a sauna. It came in and I just started sitting in there and listening to music, call it meditation, call it whatever you wanted, but I was sitting there listening to music. I had my eyes closed, and this was already about 3 years into my transformation where I fixed my body. I was eating healthy. I cut out most of the bad stuff I was doing before. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I have a vision that we're talking about. Okay. But I didn't plan this vision like some of the exercises we can do. We can start planning vision. I didn't plan this because I didn't have a desired outcome. But in this vision, I saw myself standing on stage. My family was there. There was probably 1,000 people there. I mean, I couldn't see the faces clear. It was me, maybe, I don't know, 20 years older. Um, and I just was so emotional. I was emotional for the first time in a long time in my life. And that power, that vision led to everything. That led to Zero Doubt Club. That led to my belief and what we talk about in our pillars. And probably the most important one out of all of them is faith or belief in yourself, right? Number one, having belief in yourself. And when I saw that vision of myself standing on stage, I knew that that's it. There was nothing that was going to stop me. There was
Wow.
nothing that was going to stop me. And that was the first day that I said, okay, I'm going to step out and I'm going to start helping people. And I'm not worried about how or what. I'm just going to do it. And I knew how to do it. I know I needed to sign up for some classes. I signed up for some 6-month online courses for health and life coaching. I got certified in that. And even before I was certified, within 2 months in, I was already picking up clients. I was actually picking up clients from my class, my cohort. I was coaching them
Wow.
because my
Amazing.
vision was so powerful. And then along the way, I implemented, not even knowing your system, I implemented positive visions. So, number one is that vision, that original vision of desired outcome, took away my negative visions and my negative self talk. It helped. So, a lot of people don't even realize that they're having these negative self talk. But when you
Yeah.
have that desired vision and it's positive, now you can steer your energy into that and start training your mind to be more positive. So then I
Yeah.
implemented more positive vision. And that
Yes.
led to me finding my mentor who guided me through other visualizations. I'll just briefly talk about it and then we'll be done. Is my other powerful one was it was a meditation where it was a guided meditation. And he basically said, my mentor was Sean G. Murphy, the wonderful Sean G. Murphy, was just close your eyes and pretend you're walking or you're riding down a road, like one of those dirt roads. And in front of you is a mountain. And in front of you is also your biggest fear or your biggest doubt. And all you got to do is step to the right and move past that fear and then step back to the
Oh my
left and go back
God.
down that road. With
Climb
this
that
was,
mountain.
yeah, climb that mountain. And
Wow.
15 minutes, by the end of the 15 minutes, I think I probably started feeling really emotional within about 3 minutes. And from 3 minutes to the rest of that 15 minutes, I was so emotional. And I had another vision of, number one, me writing a book. And I have a story about being bullied my entire life and being the small kid and thinking that I wasn't good enough or I wasn't any of that. So I started working out at a very young age. And now that's my purpose is, help people maybe fix their bodies and create this belief system, this strong belief system, right?
Yes.
So I saw that in that visualization, me writing a book and me helping others writing a book. So when I had those two powerful, not sure about my desired outcome yet visualizations, I knew my desired outcome. And then after that, like you're going to talk about and explain why it works. That's it. It literally was hitting the bullseye.
Wow.
Wow. That is such a compelling story. And
Wow.
the thing is that one of the one thing that story really brings to mind for me that's part of the structure, and the one thing I want to emphasize to everybody who's within the range of the sound of your voice, Jeremy, is that, this is a method that will allow you to begin the process, even if you're in and full of doubt. Doubt holds us back. And I think the thing behind zero doubt is to get from where we are, where we have doubt that's holding us back, to where we want to go by removing doubt, sidestepping doubt, as you say, to
Stepping
get where we
out,
want to
right?
go. But
Exactly.
people need to know that with the information that you're dispensing, they can begin where they stand. They can begin where they stand. And it's very powerful for them to do so. And that there's a method here that will energize them that we're going to share. And it is a structure. And the structure is primarily that you not only become clear on your desired outcome, but you get really clear on your current circumstances, even if they seem limited. In the creative process, and what you did, what you are modeling for us, is a shift from thinking that our current circumstances are the limiting factor in our life, right? The determining factor for what we can do is our current circumstances. No. The new shift that you are modeling is that what we want to create is the determining factor in our life, and our current circumstances are simply the context in which we begin the creative process.
So are you basically saying, Bodine, like the bigger the pull, the better? So
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
felt that too.
Yes. So
More energy.
we've been trained in this culture. This is a really important point that you're really stimulating me so much. We've been trained in this culture to basically be reluctant to move forward to create something we want unless we kind of know how we're going to do it. We don't really, we've been trained not to begin.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have any idea how I'm going to do it, I don't even let myself imagine what it is, right? Think of the possibility. In the creative process, we say that it's a process of inventing the path. What you set out on doing was you began inventing the path from where you are to where you want to go. It's a process of creative, strategic invention.
Yeah.
And, so and committing before you know how is part of the process of generating the energy that will actually begin moving you forward.
Yeah. And I just want to briefly touch on that because I had no idea that Zero Doubt Club was going to happen in a year. I just knew that, okay, this is where I'm at right now, my current circumstance. I did not like it. Okay. And where I wanted to go was really, really far, 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
The gap was huge. I couldn't possibly sit there and worry about the gap, but I felt it strong enough that now, a year later, we're about to open up a gym and we're already coaching. We're already helping so many people.
Yeah.
We have a podcast. By the way, I envision that we have a podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Everything is growing.
Yeah.
And, I got 19 years to go.
Yeah. And you use the word gap, which is a good word, because it really is at the heart of the structure of this vision creates reality process. It's the gap between your true desired outcome and your current circumstances. And when when you really allow yourself to think and visualize about what you really want, you're going to always create a gap or a discrepancy between that vision and where you are right now. And the gap is good.
The gap
is good. Your system responds to that gap and begins to work to close it. Right. Most people think that, once they see the gap between, oh my God, this is where I am, that's where I really want to go, it has a tendency to psych us out. But in reality, in this method, in this Zero Doubt Club approach, we actually see that as good, because that's the source of the energy that's going to begin driving the thinking and the actions to move us from where we are to where we want to go, and use these strategies to sidestep what's in our way so we can keep moving forward to climb that mountain. And then we get into a sense of empowerment and we develop a little momentum, and there's nothing better than that.
And I just want to add, and asking for help or getting coaches is part of it, right? It's part of it's part of taking action steps to making sure
Absolutely.
your vision creates
That's
reality.
right.
There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. You
Oh,
don't
no.
have to invent your own path and do your own path by yourself by any means.
Oh,
Even
yes.
if there's a means to the end of any help out there of people willing to help you, give you the information you
Well,
need,
I've had
etc.
over the years, I've had over here,
Yes.
the I've had over the years people approach me, but I haven't encountered anyone like the two of you and what you've created and what your vision is for actually serving and empowering people to follow through with the same path that Jeremy is modeling for us. You know,
Right.
it's so great to see someone who's congruent with the wisdom that they're sharing and is an example of what that can do to take you from where you are to where you want to go. Now, I know one other thing that comes to mind is that, and I love this, that's inside the Zero Doubt Club philosophy, and that is thankfulness. You know, the ability to be thankful for your life as it is and to be focused on creating it as you would want it. I say, you know, be thankful for what you've got, create what you want is kind
So
of what I say.
100%, 100%. Everything changed for me to a whole nother level when I put gratitude number one.
Gratitude is number one. I love that.
It's amazing.
Number one. It's number one because none of us have to be here. None of us have to be here. We don't have to be in this wonderful game of life, right? With the
Yeah,
possibilities, the endless possibilities of creating our vision. So
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
grateful
And
for.
and so I think gratitude also frees you up from what can bind you to your current situation. Once you
Yep.
can find gratitude for your life as it is. I say to people, you know, at the end of every day, look through your life and sort for the positive. Like even on the worst day, something wonderful happened in your life that day. Sort for the positive, think about that, then go to sleep.
100%.
I know
So
that fits in. I know that fits into your philosophy. That's why I'm so comfortable here with the two of you. And I was so comfortable the moment in the first phone call with Eric. I was so comfortable because I felt what you were really doing, what was really in your hearts to do here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I,
We're both
I think
passionate
this is
about
by
it.
far the biggest compliment we've gotten
Yeah, for
to,
sure.
to
No
date,
doubt.
Bodine.
No
You don't know
doubt.
how
And we're
much
grateful for this
your
and everything.
your words mean to us. Man, awesome. Bodine, so let's get into it. So
Okay.
you're
You
again
want to get
you're
into it?
I do a little bit, right? So we're gonna really get into it in the next two podcasts when we really dissect.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I want to say that the way we've got this organized, it's just, I'm really, I really appreciate that we're breaking this into four parts because you can't swallow it all at once, you
right,
know, because it is a new approach, but it is specific. It is a method. It's not a pep talk. Part of it is inspirational because it's going to empower you, right?
right.
But we're not empowering you by what I call happy talk, although I like happy talk. We're empowering you with a method that when you use the method will work. You
Hmm.
know, the method works, and
Wow.
each time you do it, you get a little better at it. That's what we're talking about now.
Right.
And empowerment is such a strong word, right?
Yeah.
Because who does yeah, empowerment to me means you feel like you didn't have the power before you were empowered, right? So you almost feel powerless,
Oh, this is good.
like you can't get something done or you can't get to this, and now you're searching and you're finding this empowerment, which we call zero doubt. So empowerment is confidence. You feel powerful, you feel in control, you feel like you have less doubts or zero doubts, right? um you
The thing
you've
yeah,
said
go ahead.
empowerment.
Clarity.
You've said, yeah, clarity. You've said empowerment, I think, three or four times, and that's why I wanted to stop and kind of talk
Yeah,
about the word for a second.
it's a good thing to do.
You use the word I think 4 or 5 times. Can you talk more about that?
Well, I will. And here's what I see where you're going with this. Let's clear this up a little bit. Um, to me, all of the problems that any of us ever face come from some underlying sense of powerlessness. Okay?
Yep.
When we get into those ruts in our life where we're driving negative thought loops, right? And we
Yes.
become unhappy and it touches us and the people we interact with. What we're really experiencing is some sense of powerlessness of the it's on a subconscious level, right? That we kind of come to this conclusion that I don't have power to change my life, change myself, change my relationships. And what I want to say to people about this method, and the reason that once I came across it, I knew this is what I wanted to share with the world. Because when I chose to become a speaker and I went on that wisdom hunt, I wanted to find something that I wanted to share with the world. I, I'm asked to tell speakers all the time how to become a speaker. So many people want to become a speaker. I
Right.
tell them, do start doing research and find something you want to share with the world, right?
Right.
What I found was this method is the way the human system works. This isn't an external method that we imprint on top of being human. This is a discovery of how the human system works. And when you use this method, you are empowering your system. Now, when I say the word system, I'm saying your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your positive affect, your emotions, you know, every aspect of the miraculous thing that is a human being gets activated by using this methodology. So you're not just imprinting something on yourself. You are actually going in with a method that the human system is already using. Anytime anyone who's listening to us has ever had a great result, like where they decided to do something and they went ahead and they achieved it, right?
Yep.
In some small way or some large way, they somehow intuitively tapped into the method we're discussing and we're preparing to share. But now there's this great joy of like, sometimes we did it and we didn't know exactly how we did it. But now we have a method so that we can be consciously aware of how to do it. And we're not doing something artificial. We are becoming aware of how to structure our thinking and our behavior to activate our system the way it already works best. That's kind of what I mean.
Sounds like some science.
Well, but it's not rocket science.
No, it's not. That's the
When
beauty.
when we share the
I
four-part
was
structure,
never good at science, so it's working for me.
I don't know, man. If you were a poker player, you have some kind of way
Well,
to keep
yeah,
track of
maybe a
odds
little
and
bit.
things. But the when we share the method, people will understand. They're going to get it in 10 minutes. It's not difficult. All right. It's actually quite simple in its structure. And you can not only get it in 10 minutes, you can, at the end of the second or third podcast, you can get a pad of paper and start using the method. And I
Everyone
can
get their pens and pads.
that's right.
Right.
And we're going to have some ways to facilitate this. We'll share with you probably on podcast 4. But to begin with a sheet of paper, you can start this method and it will generate results immediately because you are operating your system the way your system works best. That's the beauty of this.
Let's talk about it, Bodine. Let's give them a few action steps to create action steps. Okay, they got our audience has a pad of paper. Where do they? What's the first thing that they should do on that pad of paper?
Well, the first thing they should do is answer the question that shifts you from a reactive orientation where circumstances are holding you back to a creative orientation where circumstances are simply the context in which you live and create. And it's one question that shifts you to creative orientation. And that question is, what is it that you truly want to create? What is it that you truly want to create? Write it down. Now,
Literally, it's like Da Vinci sitting in front of a painting, right? Like it's the same thought. What do I want to create right now?
what do you want
Uh,
to create? Now,
in
we
life,
we
in life, it could be again personal, business, family, relationship, finance, etc. It
it
can
can
be
be small,
anything.
it can be small, it can be big. I like people to uh, we're going to give them an exercise sheet that is the questions you answer to begin just making a list of what you want to create. When I did that first 4-hour workshop, before I even knew what I was doing with those 300 people on St. Martin, that's what we started with, right? And people were writing down all kinds of stuff. And I had everybody write at least three and then pick one that you could probably do in the next few weeks or a few months to get momentum and understand how to use the process. But what do you want to create? How good can you stand it?
How good can you stand it?
How
Explain that.
good can you how good can you stand it means what do you want to create and what's the highest level of success you can currently imagine about that thing,
Wow,
right?
that's awesome.
What
Is
do you
that
want
why?
to create?
Because most people are actually more afraid of success than failure?
I have a willingness to debate that topic. I think they're more afraid of the gap,
The gap.
be,
Okay.
the gap that develops between where I am and where I really want to go. One of the reasons why people are reluctant to ask themselves and to answer the question, what do I really want to create, is a part of them says, well, I can never have that, so why should I even think about it? Right?
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, thinking about it is what begins to give you the leverage to begin reorienting the way you think and act and choose to move from where you are to where you want to go. Now, initially, the gap can seem like the Grand Canyon. But again, once you understand the method, the gap is good. Your system will be the system. Human system is teleological, which is a term that means we are goal oriented. And when you give your system a clear, multi-sensory vision, Jeremy's sitting in that sauna and comes up with a vision of him being on stage in front of 1,000 people, influencing them. That tells his system, this is where I want us to go. And when you give a clear, sensory rich image to yourself, your system is teleological, which means boom, it absorbs it and starts going to work on a subconscious level. It starts going to work and it's going to magnetize people to you. And that's number one,
You got
desired
to feel
outcome.
it in your body. You
I
got to
love the
feel it in your body.
magnetized. I love the word
Yeah.
magnetized towards you because everyone feels it. When you feel it, everyone feels
Yeah.
it. Um,
That's
okay,
number one.
so so I went from a little bit powerless, etc., to now, okay, fine, I'm over it. I closed my eyes. I really want to do XYZ, lose weight, make more money, start a business,
Get a
rekindle a
different
relationship with my wife.
get a different
Okay,
kind of job.
I
Yeah.
write that.
Yeah.
I write that at the top of the paper. This is my vision. This is what I want. I'm
Yeah.
out of my empowerment. Now I feel a little bit more empowerment right now. Okay, I believe it. This can
Okay.
happen.
What's next? Are
What's
you
next?
asking what's next?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the first thing is what we call what. WHAT.
Okay.
What do you want to create? All right. The next step is why.
Mhm.
And we call this purpose. And
Purpose.
what you want to do there is you want to answer the question of why do I want to create this? And you want to be real honest. If you want to lose 20 pounds because you want to look better when you go out to a bar to try and find companionship, that's a valid thing. Even if culture says ego, it doesn't matter. If that's part of the why, that you want to do something, that is going to motivate you. That is going to flip the power switch within you. So once you define what, the next thing is purpose. Why do
Or
you
why?
why do you want to create
Yep.
this? And that becomes a list
Mm-hmm.
of list every reason why you want to do this. Let's say take the one you referenced just some time ago, Eric, when you said how many people here would like to revitalize their relationship with their meat, right? Think of why you want to do that. Think of why you want to do anything and write down those reasons. Why is very powerful. It generates passion, it generates motivation, it generates cooperation from the people around you. If you have something that you know you want to create and you know why you want to create it, you automatically become more persuasive to the people that you're going to be around and you're going to talk to that might assist you or want or participate in what your choices are. That's
Okay,
part two.
can I give you an example?
Please.
My real life example.
Oh yes.
Fasting. So intermittent fasting is really healthy. There's a lot of science behind it. You're setting your entire body, and it's really difficult. So I
Yeah.
made it's okay. It's okay.
No
So
problem.
so I made my why list. I literally put 10 reasons why I'm fasting today on a sheet of paper that I looked at all day, and it helped me get through it. So more than just help you sell it to other people, it helps you sell yourself on why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's something magical about answering what and answering why. There
Yes.
always has been. It's only the first two parts of what is a 4 or 5 part structure, but they are the first two parts. And when you're doing this, what you're really doing on a subconscious level is you are also saying to yourself, circumstances are not the determining factor in my life for what I can or cannot create. We're
Right.
moving out of that. In the creative orientation, as I've said before, and it's worthy to repeat, in the creative orientation, circumstances are simply the current context in which you begin your creating and your inventing. The limiting factor is, do you want it and why?
Right.
And you move beyond limitation when you answer those questions.
Yes. Yes.
Start
Now,
making
there's a
why lists. Start making why lists.
Okay, what's next? I made my why list. I made my top 5, top 10 why list. Now what's next, Bodine?
well, the next thing, which is what's been left out in almost virtually every method I've studied and every presentation I've ever listened to about creating results, and it is to get a really clear, honest description of your current circumstances relative to what you've chosen. We call this current circumstances. This is a second reference point. And you need 2 points of reference to create a structure, right? And this
Yes.
is a simple structure, but it's a structure that makes all the difference in the world. The first structure is desired outcome. What do I want to create? Another way to say that is, where do I want to go, right? I'm
Right.
here. Where do I want to go? This is what I've got. What do I want to create? The second reference point, which creates the structure that creates the energy that begins to resolve, you're defining a gap to your system. When you give the human system a clearly defined gap of between what you want to create and what are your current circumstances relative to what you've chosen, the system evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to close that gap.
Hmm. It's human
And
nature.
yes, it's in human nature. I mean, think about it. History tells us that a small group of evolved human beings evolved from whatever branch of of primates evolved as human beings in,
Right.
Africa, and began traveling the world. People went out in, outrigger canoes into the unknown to discover Hawaii
Right.
because someone got a vision of what they would like to have as their life and got really clear on where they are. And some impulse in them said, get a canoe, outrigger, get some coconuts and some food, gather up your people, and go this way. And
Wow.
they made the commitment before they knew what was going to be out there. How can you explain that? It's the
Right.
way the human system works.
So,
Give
so
yourself,
Bodine, in my example of fasting,
yes,
so my goal is 180 pounds. My vision is to see my abs and see this Jeremy body on me, right?
right.
I don't
And
know if you're going to be able to ever close that gap.
thanks, coach.
Just
I
kidding.
appreciate that, coach.
I want
Uh,
Jeremy's
I'm
body
going
and
to have to
physique too.
stop.
Everybody who sees Jeremy
Everybody,
without a
yeah,
shirt on wants his physique, who's a
yeah,
male. Anyway,
yeah,
go ahead.
right. So, that's my vision.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
and desire.
what are your current circumstances? What are you currently doing in relationship to when you eat your meals and how much you eat? That sort of thing. So you
Got it.
describe your current circumstances, not in general. You describe your current circumstances relative to the goal you've chosen, and
Got it.
that creates the gap.
Mhm.
And
Got it.
the gap is
So not eating,
good.
not eating as healthy as I should.
Well, those are
Drinking.
editorial comments. Let me make this clear.
Yes, make
We
it
don't
clear.
really want editorial comments. We want just the facts, man. Like that old Dragnet TV show that's still in reruns. We just want the facts. Just describe the facts. Editorial gets in the way at this point. You want to say something is good or bad. You want to say, what is it? What's my behavior? What are my circumstances? What resources do I have? Limited though they may be, right? For
Yes,
example, people want to write a book, right?
yes,
How many hours in a day could you take 30 minutes, every other day and sit down and write 100 words, right?
sure.
Those kinds of things. So it's desired outcome and current circumstances relative to the desired outcome we've chosen. You
Got
call
it.
a cab. You call a cab. You call a cab company,
Yes,
and they say hello, and you say, I want to get over to the Venetian Hotel Casino. I'm in Las Vegas, and they say, okay, well, where are you now? And you say, well, I don't know. I'm not really sure. They're not coming for you. That cab is not going to
Yeah, I
come
don't
for you.
think so.
You call a cab company and you say, listen, I'm at 8105 Hercules Drive. And they say, fine. Where do you want to go? And you say, well, I haven't decided yet. They're not coming for you.
right.
It's the same with the human system. You get really clear on where you want to go. You tell your system
It's
real
great.
honestly, where am I
Great
right now
analogy.
relative to when I go? You create a gap, and the system begins to want to resolve that gap, and it begins to provide you with what you need to resolve that gap, to move your current circumstances closer and closer and closer to your desired result until your circumstances become or include your desired result.
Yeah.
We have more specifics on that, but that's kind of the nature of the
Eric, we
structure.
need a new tagline. The joy lies in the gap.
Right, right. Well,
Well,
yeah.
the gap is good.
Filling the gap is the journey.
Yeah,
But
yeah. The gap is good,
The gap
yes,
is good.
and
There's
and
joy in the
and
gap.
your system. The first thing your system will do, and this happens on right after part 5. But the first thing your system will do once you get through this process is it will begin to give you action ideas. We
I was
sometimes,
just going
That's
to ask you,
huge
how do
right
you
there.
create the action steps or the action ideas to get things done? And that might
Desired
be,
outcome. Desired outcome. Number one. We're going to go through this quickly because
yes,
we're going to provide. I want to let the viewers know that I'm so happy that Jeremy and Eric want us to progressively give you more and more detail. And we're going to give you all the detail by the end of number 4. You'll have all the detail you need to follow through and implement this because it's not rocket science.
It's not going to be a 4.5 hour one podcast show.
That's right. That's right.
right.
So desired outcome. What do you want to create and how good can you stand it? What's the best vision you can possibly entertain inside your mind?
Right.
Next, what are my current circumstances? Specifically, not is it good, is it bad, just what are my current circumstances relative to what I've chosen? Well, the second was purpose, then current circumstances, all right?
Right.
Then you go back and you've done, what do I want to create? What's my list of my purpose, my why do I want to create it? Then I describe my current circumstances. Then I go back to my desired outcome and I read it again to myself. And I say this. Do I really want to organize my time and my energy to bring this into existence?
Ooh,
Right?
that's big.
Do I really want to do this?
Huge.
And now, sometimes when you go through, sometimes we have these thoughts in our brain of, I want to do this and I want to do that. But when we think about it, we think about why we want to do it, and we see our current circumstances, sometimes we say, no, that's not it. And that's good. Because now you don't have this thing pulling on your attention that you kind of thought you wanted it, but you really don't. So it's okay to go through these first
You
steps.
start over, right?
Yeah, and then you go back and you think of something else until a desired outcome, list of why you want to do it, clear description of current circumstances relative to what I've chosen. Now I go back to my desired outcome. I read it to myself. This is just me and myself. And I say, do I really want to organize my time, my energy, my focus to bring this into being? If the answer is yes, you write that down right underneath that box. I now choose to create this result. That is the nature of commitment. Commitment is choosing to create the result you want before you know how you're going to do it. It's not some kind of, willpower manipulation. It's not some kind of willpower manipulation. It is you choosing to create it before I know how. And once you do that, the resolving energy that wants to close the gap is gonna start working.
Man,
Now,
and how is this process not part of two things come really clear off the top of my head. 2 business owners that are partners, Jeremy and I. How are we not having these meetings of vision creates reality together?
Yeah.
Right. And
I think we do though, but
we
it's
do,
not as defined.
but it's not.
well, this is bringing what you are doing intuitively up to a level of conscious awareness of method.
Yes.
This is
Conscious
a
awareness.
method.
That's the key.
Conscious
Conscious
awareness
awareness. I've
of
heard that
method,
before
too.
Yeah.
So now
Conscious
you're
awareness.
creating. Now we're creating action steps and again, the 1 + 1 = 3.
Now, I've for the last 25 years, I began to go from, I was an entertaining speaker who told inspirational customer service stories. Then I became a customer service expert who was very entertaining. Then I began doing workshops, right? Then I began doing, idea development, business development workshops. So I've just progressed in my capacity to go into an organization and help teams progress. And one of the things that I got very involved in is idea generation. Ideas are the answer. But you know what generally happens is you sit your team down and you say, okay, who's got a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh, please. I mean, really, you can't go from dead stop to that. But if you go through the process of, what do we want to create here? What is this team? So I would go in and say, okay, here we are. Let's think about what we really want to create. And often they'll say, well, what do you mean? Because they're just involved in day to day.
Right.
Take to a higher level. What do you want to create? We get clear on that. Why do we want this? We get clear on that. What are our current circumstances? We get clear on that. Then we say, do we want to create this? And they say yes. Okay. Now we have the energy of creative vision. And then I say to them, let's visualize success. Because
Nice.
it's right after you've said, yes, I want to create this, prior to like, I need an action plan. The thing is, that's when the real specific visualization comes in. Now we've got clarity of outcome. We've got clarity of purpose. We've got clarity of current circumstances, and we've chosen to create it. Now we say, what does success look like? What does success look like?
Right.
You know, the human system is teleological, and we are sensory processing organisms. We have a tendency to think about talking to ourselves as an inbound client. I'll get back to him. Anyway, a prospect. I love it. They're calling. Anyway,
Must be
the,
working.
we have a tendency to think
Right.
that, you know, if we talk to ourselves in language, we're going to get a really good response. And that is true. But we evolved as sensory processing organisms. So when you take a sensory rich image and present it to yourself at this point, you are really telling a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? We've all heard this.
Yes.
It's so true. When you have an envisioned, with your imagination, and envisions, like, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like to succeed at this? You give yourself that sensory rich image. Now you've given your system so much information, and it's going to really understand. Now you say 3 things. What actions should I take, must I take to start making this happen? That's the first question. What actions can I take, should I take to start making this happen? Then the second question is, what action can I start doing right away? What can I do tomorrow to start? What small thing or big thing can I do tomorrow? So what actions do I need to take at this point? Because you've done all this work. I mean, you've done some great work when you come to this point. It's actually the 5th step or 6th step where you're visualizing. Now you go. And when I work with these teams and they're stuck on how do we come up with ideas, when we go through this step and I'm at the flip chart, man, the ideas start to come.
Nice.
Because your system is being activated here, right? And it's
And
also
I
a
love,
good idea.
and I love the what can I do tomorrow or right now?
Right.
Because momentum is everything. We know
Yes, it is.
that you need to get the ball rolling.
Daily momentum. That's why the
Any
question.
momentum.
Yeah.
I loved
Any
when you said
momentum, yeah.
even small step. Any
Even
step.
small steps,
Even
something.
Yes. Yes.
And you're when you give the gap to your system in a way that says, I'm choosing this. Here's the gap, and I'm choosing this. Your system can only resolve the creative tension. It creates a certain kind of tension. It can only resolve the tension in one way, and that's to start providing you with ideas and actions and energy to resolve the gap.
Which it gives
then
to
you
you
give-
anyways.
Huh?
Which it gives to you anyways. So you don't have to worry about the how.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It starts providing the how, and you become the active instrument. You become the co-creator with your own self, the deeper parts of yourself, to create the results. So now you ask for, what can I do? What should I do to make this happen? Then the second that's where you're just asking your system for, give me any action idea you got, saying to your system.
Right.
Then you say, give me an action idea I can do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the third question is, what are the main things I need to accomplish to bring this goal into being? That gives you your strategic objectives.
Right.
You ask those 3 questions. At that point, you better have a pen or a voice to text operation on on your, open up
Yep.
voice to text on an email to yourself
Start
and
right.
just start talking,
Right.
and the ideas are going to come.
Right. Right on.
Amazing.
Right on. Bodine, this is a lot for podcast number 1. I cannot wait to go even deeper.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like we've
Yeah.
gotten so much already.
We did.
Well, and we'll have a workbook for this on podcast 2.
Sounds great. Sounds
Great.
great.
Right.
Yeah. And
folks,
anyone that please drop an email, etc. We're happy to share some worksheets, etc. to help. So I'm sure they
After
took a look
podcast 2, right?
after
Yeah.
podcast 2.
So you got to listen to
But
this one
they
and 2.
I'm sure they all took a lot of
one
notes.
of the things that I always loved, from the very beginning of when I began my wisdom hunt, when I crossed over from being an entertainer to being a keynote speaker and then a workshop trainer, one of the things that I began to absorb was everything that I believe is true. And one of the things I believe is true is that questions are the answer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And in this process, what we're going to provide people with are what are the key questions that you ask yourself at a specific time that stimulate the answer,
Close the gap.
right?
Yeah.
So every step of the way, if you begin to think about what we've been discussing, every step of the way, there's questions to ask yourself that prompt the next series of answers to get through the process.
Right.
And we have those organized. So we know this is all known now. This is all known. And I've kind of cobbled it all together into
and the point is not that you don't, this process helps the process is the point. No, it
helps you implement all the strategies.
Yes, in a systematic, scientific way, right? That if you don't have your worksheet with you and you're sitting in the car and you have this epiphany or whatever else, you shouldn't wait till you get home to fill out the worksheet and answer every question. Start the ball rolling and start the process going, and that's the point. And ask for help when needed. And man,
and it's the way the human system works.
Yes.
It's the way the human system works. That's the other thing that I really want to get across is that this isn't something that got thought up that we're imprinting on ourselves. This is a discovery of how the human system works all by itself.
Right.
And every time that any one of us has ever done something that was like, wow, I decided to do it, and I achieved it. Oh, man. We tapped into this intuitively.
Yes.
And now we are giving ourselves the awareness of the structure of it so we can do it as a method rather than just relying on intuition.
This is great. And we're going to go over this in podcast 2, right?
And we knew this was going to be a lot to talk about.
It's a lot.
Because this is life transformational. So, we knew this would be a few hours long and whatever else. This is going a little longer than 60 minutes, but again, well worth every word.
Okay. All right.
Bodine,
so let's just settle on one thing.
Yes.
Let's settle on one thing.
Yes.
And this goes right back to Jeremy's wonderful story of congruence with what he's creating and what you're purveying. And that is, what do you want to create? Just start with that. Just start pondering in your mind right now. What is it at this point in my life that I truly want to create? Don't think about your current circumstances. Don't think about any limitations you think might exist. Just try and get to that place where this is something I really want to create. This is something I really want to create. And just begin to imagine what that would be like. Imagine the possibility.
Yeah, so I would like our audience to actually think about that. And then maybe in podcast 2, we'll take it to the next level.
We'll take it to the next level, whether it's they want to create more happiness or create a business
whatever
or create
it is.
whatever it is.
There's a phrase that comes from modern communication that you can put in the front of that question. allow yourself to think
Nice.
about what you want.
Allow yourself to think. What are
Allow
you?
yourself to think about what you
What you
want
want.
to create. And when you say want to create, you're really implying there's a deep implication there that it's an active role that you're going to play. Not what do I want? What do I want to create? So allow
And that's the
yourself.
title of this podcast is allow
Yeah.
yourself
But so
to
allow
envision
yourself.
what you want to create. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Allow
I
yourself
like
to
it.
think about what you want to create.
Bodine, thank you. Podcast number 1 of
Oh my
4
God. I just love you guys.
golden.
I'm so honored to be invited to participate in some way in the Zero
Oh
Doubt
yeah,
Club
we're honored to
outreach.
have you. Absolutely.
The
Honored
Zero
to have
Doubt
you. We're the
the
lucky
Zero
ones.
Doubt Club outreach. I just
Very
love
grateful. Very
participating.
grateful.
We are the lucky ones here today. Thank you very much. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Thanks,
My
Bodine.
pleasure.
Okay.
And thanks,
All right.
guys, for listening.
Yes.
Podcast 2 of this coming
Yeah.
soon.
Okay. Podcast
right.
10 in the books. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye now.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
that
great.
was fun. That was fun. Are we having fun or what? Okay.
Bodine, thank you so much. Have a good one.
How long was that?
Over an hour.
75.
1 hour and